want to welcome everybody to the 13th Annual Dyess Symposium. It's the first time we've been here in 3 years. It's great to have you back, and I hope you have a wonderful time. I'm going to introduce the honorees in a little while, but first of all, I've got to mention a few people who are in the audience. There is a Dyess in the audience named Brett Dyess. Will he hold up his hand? And there there is a Connor Dyess Smith, who is my wife of 63 years, and she deserves a round of applause, I think. Other people from out of town I want to introduce is Pat Finneran and his wife Pamela Johnson. Would you hold up your hands, please? Pat Finneran is a Marine, had combat experience in Vietnam, and has recently been selected and elected and enshrined in the Georgia Aviation Hall of Fame. So congratulations to you. And now I want to introduce the representative for Fort Gordon, Brigadier General Christine Rummel, and she's right here in front in a uniform. And she represents Fort Gordon, the U.S. Army, the U.S. Air Force, the Marine Corps, and the Navy, because they're all out there, and also Cyber Command. So she has a lot on her shoulders, and we're glad to have her, General Rummel. Okay, so I think that's probably enough for now, and we want to go ahead with the ceremony. So I'm now going to open my program and try to remember what I'm supposed to do. Now, I got to tell you, I'm sitting up here on a high deal. That's because I'm 88 years old, and I don't work very well. My legs don't work very well, so forgive me for that. I would like, first of all, to have the presentation of the colors. If we would all stand, please, if you're able. Now we could have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please remove anything not related to say here. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Post the colors.
Carry, cut. Ready, cut. Right, face. Forward, march.
And a round of applause to the North Vesta Junior ROTC. I would now like to ask you to sit, please. And the Reverend Eric Biddy from St. Paul's Church will lead us in the invocation, please.
Let us pray. Almighty God, you are the giver of life, and you gave your own life for the sake of the world. We thank you for men and women who in the day of decision ventured much for the good of their communities and our people, through moments of heroic action and through habits of generosity and service. May their good example, with the examples of all your saints, inspire in us a love for our own communities and a will to extend the benefits of the common good to all your children. Open the eyes of our hearts to see the values worth giving our lives to. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Next, we have a real special event. Most of you know who Russell Joel Brown is. He was a Broadway star. He is a Broadway star from The Lion King and so forth, and he's going to lead us in a song with Keith Schaefer as his accompaniment. Please. You're going to be in for another treat because he's going to sing some more later in the program. And thank you so much, both of you, and we'll get you again. We're now going to get a film. It's a film that runs about 8 or 9 minutes. It tells the Jimmie Dyess story, but I'd like you to pay particular attention to the last part of the film because it talks about the new marker that we have placed at Sullivan's Island at the spot that he saved the 2 lives in 1928. So if we could run the film, please.
It's well known throughout the Augusta area that Jimmie Dyess is the only person in history to have received America's 2 highest awards for heroism, the Carnegie Medal and the Medal of Honor. What is not widely known are his many other accomplishments. His heroism started early. In fact, at the age of 13, he saved someone from drowning. He earned the rank of Eagle Scout the following year, a very special accomplishment for someone so young. At the Academy of Richmond County, he was a cadet officer, a scholar, and a fine athlete. Later at Clemson College, he was a high-ranking officer in the Clemson Cadet Corps, a varsity football player, and an All-American marksman. In 1930, Dyess led the Southeast College team to victory in the National Marksmanship Championship at Camp Perry. At age 19, Jimmie was walking on the beach at Sullivan's Island when he saw that two swimmers were in trouble. Without hesitation, he swam far out to try to assist them. The long swim back with two women in tow was exhausting. For his successful act of selfless valor, he received the Carnegie Medal. Dyess was a very modest man. Many of his closest friends did not know he had earned this iconic medal. In 1934, at the First Presbyterian Church in Augusta, he married Connor Cleckley. In 1936, he became a member of the Marine Corps Reserves and a leader of its highly ranked marksmanship team. With war clouds on the horizon in the autumn of 1940, First Lieutenant Jimmie Dyess was called to active duty. Dyess quickly moved up the ranks. By the spring of 1943, he was a lieutenant colonel in command of a battalion of 800 troops in the 24th Marine Regiment. He commanded with great confidence and compassion. He loved his troops, and his troops loved him. In January 1944, the 4th Marine Division sailed from San Diego. The destination, the Japanese-held Marshall Islands. Dyess led his Marines from the front as his battalion stormed onto the heavily defended island of Roy Namur. As dusk approached on the first day of the battle, he realized that Marines from another battalion were in serious trouble. Fighting his way through enemy lines, Dyess rescued 4 seriously wounded Marines who were surrounded by the enemy. On the last day of the battle, as he was leading his men against a Japanese pillbox, Jimmie Dyess was shot and killed. A few months later in Augusta, his wife, Connor, received the Medal of Honor. Jimmie's younger sister, Sarah Ewing, often commented that there was a pattern in Jimmie's life. From an early age, whenever anyone was in danger, he felt compelled to take action, no matter the risk. Jimmie Dyess's heroism has been recognized many times since his death in 1944. Shortly after the battle, the airfield on Roy Namur was named in his honor. Dyess Field remains active today in support of space activities of NASA and the military services. The ship, the USS Dyess, was commissioned in 1945. This destroyer served America for 36 years and saw action in the Vietnam War. In 1997, the headquarters of the 24th Marines in Kansas City was named in his honor. In 1998, the Jimmie Dyess Parkway in Augusta was opened. In 2004, Clemson University awarded Dyess its highest award, the Doctorate of Humane Letters. In 2005, on the second floor of the Augusta Museum of History, a permanent exhibit was opened. This exhibit honors Dyess and 2 ships, the USS Augusta and the USS Dyess. In 2011, the first Jimmie Dyess Symposium was held. Every year at this symposium, a Medal of Honor recipient is honored for his lifetime of contributions to America and his fellow citizens. Also at this symposium, 2 outstanding citizens who have a connection to the Augusta area are honored. In 2015, the book Courage, Compassion, Marine: The Unique Story of Jimmie Dyess was published. Also in 2015, a revised version of the DVD Twice a Hero was released. On August 9, 2022, a historical marker was dedicated at Sullivan's Island, South Carolina, just a short distance from where Dyess rescued 2 women from drowning in 1928. Nearly 200 people, including many military and civic leaders, attended the unveiling ceremony, which took place near the boardwalk at Station 18½. This 2-sided cast aluminum marker is designed to last for over a century. It displays a color image of Jimmie Dyess when he was a student at Clemson. Also displayed are the emblems of the Medal of Honor, Carnegie Medal, and the Eagle Scout Award. This is the ideal location for beachgoers to view both sides of the marker. In the decades ahead, thousands of people, young and old, will learn the remarkable story of Jimmie Dyess. In summary, Augustan Jimmie Dyess epitomizes the nobility of public service. It is most fitting that his legacy is preserved. It is hoped that Marine Lieutenant Colonel Jimmie Dyess will serve as an inspiration for all, and most importantly, as a role model for young Americans for decades to come.
Well, we're here in Augusta for the Jimmie Dyess Symposium, the 12th edition, and we're very, very pleased to have Pat Knox Hudson as our first guest. And I want to ask her a few questions. The first question I want to ask is, tell me about your life, where you grew up and what got you to Augusta.
Oh, well, I was a native Mississippian, then to Gastonia, North Carolina, when December the 7th, 1941, my father immediately went into the Navy. We moved to Charleston Navy Yard and spent all 4 years there because he was an engineer and repaired and built ships. And at the end of the war, moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and that's what I call really home, because that's where I mostly grew up, finished school, married Pete, and after graduate school, Pete's graduate school, moved to Thompson and then Augusta. In 1963, we moved to Augusta.
And what was the first time that you got involved in worthy causes here in Augusta?
The first board I was on was the Bethlehem Community Center, and I just fell in love with that place. And I did the music there in the kindergarten, and then that sort of led me into a relationship with a lady named Faith Birchie, who was a member of the Augusta Friends Meeting, Quaker, and she asked me would I be interested in help starting the Open Door Community, the first, not communities, school, an open door kindergarten, the first one in Augusta, an integrated kindergarten. And we did that, and it opened in 1964.
And was that church-based, or was it based not on church?
No, it was not church-based. At that time, we really had a hard time finding a church that would let us do it. But the Unitarians opened up their wonderful building, and that's where the first it was nursery school and kindergarten.
I see. And has that continued on through the
It's
years?
still going, but it went from there to the temple. But now it has moved, and I've lost touch. But it's been a wonderful kindergarten all these years.
Okay, then tell me what the next issue that you got involved in.
Well, Sacred Heart. And that was, I used to love to ride past it and see the nuns still in their habits outside playing with the children. And then when it was closed and it started going downhill, that just broke my heart. So I started, I guess you could say, nagging Pete and his brother and my father-in-law. And I saw the Knox Foundation bought it, and we've been working with it ever since.
It's one of the great triumphs, it seems to me, of saving that beautiful building.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
And besides you, who were the main players in making sure that happened? Pete?
Pete and Boone and my father-in-law, Pete Knox Jr.
Well, I congratulate you on that. Now, tell me, what other things have you been involved in?
Well, the Jesse Norman School, and that is an after-school program for children that might not have the advantage of being able to take music or acting or and so we opened that, and we don't charge anything. We depend on gifts, and it has been a wonderful success. We have a good Jesse Norman had given us some seed money, and then Dr. Linda Scales was the one who kind of got that started, and but now the head of the school is Gary Dyess, who's doing a great job.
So that continues on.
Oh yes, it's going strong.
Okay, now what's the next one you've been involved in?
Well, I love music, so I've been part of the Augusta Choral Society and our friends group. Jane Howington and I got that little friends group started, and all of that's still going on. So,
Tell me a little bit about the friends group. What is that?
oh, that's just a support group for the Choral Society. They help provide refreshments for when we have parties, and if we need to have a place for a guest soloist to stay, we open up our homes and things like that.
And what about, I see some other things here. What about the Family Counseling Center?
Oh, well, that is, too, is a wonderful organization. And it just provides help for people that are having emotional type problems, and and it's not a costly thing to get help there. But I have not been on that board for a good while, but it's still going strong.
And so what boards are you serving on presently?
I am, I guess you would say, emerita. I've been saying the masculine form,
Right.
but now I'm just doing Sacred Heart, Jesse Norman School, and the Friends of the Choral Society.
And
I
what
think
about
that's all.
What about your relationship with St. Paul's Tuesday Music Live?
Well, I was on that board for a while. We just helped Keith get supporters for those to sponsor the concerts.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's been one of the great programs in Augusta.
Oh,
for a
it's
long
wonderful.
time.
It's, I mean, we are so lucky in Augusta as far as music. Heavens, I mean, you can't do it all. You run out of time.
That's right. All right, it's great to have you here, Ed Gillespie from Augusta, Georgia. And the first question would be, tell me a little bit about your life, where you were brought up and how you ended up in Augusta.
All right. Perry, I'm a Yankee. I grew up in Minnesota, northern Minnesota, for the first number of years. Graduated from Pine City High School. Went to University of Minnesota at Duluth for my undergraduate work, and then the University in Minneapolis for my graduate work.
And then your jobs that you had following that.
Oh, I just kept moving around, Perry. Actually, before I went into my career, I did some work over in Austria with the refugee program with the Methodist Church and the World Council of Churches. And That was quite fulfilling. Then my first job was out in Denver as an assistant administrator at Lutheran Hospital. Then I went with the Methodist Board of Hospitals and Homes for a number of years as the Associate General Secretary. Then went to the Methodist Hospital in Rochester, Minnesota, part of the Mayo Clinic. And then I came to Augusta, Georgia, and for the last 45 years I've been in Augusta, Georgia.
And what was the major motivations for you to come out of the Northwest and come to Augusta?
You know, in hospital administration, you move around at least 3 or 4 times before you find a more permanent location. I was impressed by the interviews that I had with the local people. I was impressed by the potential for the hospital, and I was ready to take on more major responsibilities.
I see. And tell me, of all the things that you have accomplished here in Augusta over the last many years, which ones were the ones that you felt were the most important?
Well, you know, the hospital accomplished a lot. And of course, no one person's involved in directing a hospital. It involves a lot of people, from the board of directors to the administrative staff to all of the workers. Developing a local county hospital into a major medical center was a fairly rewarding experience. And that was done because we were able to convert the hospital from an old authority hospital to a nonprofit voluntary hospital that represented the entire community. It was a good experience, and the hospital is a real credit to the community.
And what about other things that you have accomplished, or you and your team?
Well, you know, the development of the blood center, I think, was an important event for the community. There were many of us that were involved in that, but it was an important step for the community. The rehabilitation hospital, Walton Rehab, Brandon Wild, Health Central, all of those services came out of the hospital's long-range plan that was developed back in the mid-70s.
And did you get many of those ideas from where you had been before, or did you get the ideas out of Augusta?
Well, you know, most ideas come from other people. And looking around the country, of course, you saw programs that had developed before we were able to develop similar programs. So you have some prototypes that you try to follow. We did some visitation in some of those centers. So I guess a combination of both, Perry.
And did you have difficulty with bureaucracy, particularly at the state level, in trying to get these changes through?
Well, the biggest problem we had, and I guess is probably an example of not doing communication properly. We did not get the support from the newspaper, for example, or from the county commission as we made the transition from an authority hospital to a nonprofit voluntary hospital. The reason we had to do that was because the old authority law, which was developed after the war, restricted authority hospitals from services outside of the county. Well, of course, modern healthcare, modern medical centers require a lot of satellite services. more than 50% of our patients at University Hospital came from outside Richmond County. So it was important for us to expand our services to South Carolina and to Columbia County and other surrounding counties.
Were you ever able to get the newspaper on your side?
Oh, yes. They eventually became very supportive of the efforts of the hospital.
Other things that you have been involved in worthy causes here in Augusta or elsewhere?
Well, Boy Scouts and the Chamber of Commerce and programs like that are so important to the community. I tried to be involved as much as I could.
And you were involved with the Rotary Club?
Oh, yes. I was president of the Rotary Club for one term. I was president of the Georgia Hospital Association for two terms, and that was very rewarding.
So anything else that you want to share with the audience that we're going to have on the 12th of January?
Well, I can't think of anything specifically other than the fact that, Augusta is a fine community. It's been an excellent place to raise a family and to play tennis and to do so many of the things that this climate and this location provides us. And of course, the historical place that Augusta has played in this country is amazing, and I'm just proud to be a citizen of Augusta, Georgia.
Okay, it's my great pleasure to introduce Mike Rose, who is the recipient of a Medal of Honor and also will be the recipient of the Distinguished American Award from the Jimmie Dyess Symposium. He's coming to us from Huntsville, Alabama, which is his home, and we're going to ask him to tell a little bit about his life and all of the things that he has run into and contributed not only to the military but also to his community. So Mike, it's over to you.
Well, I think I'll start. I joined the Army in April of 1967 and went to Fort Ord, then to Fort Gordon, and then jump school, and then Special Forces training. And after that, I was assigned to the 7th at Fort Bragg, and then I went to Thailand, Vietnam, Mac Sag, where I received most of these awards. And after that, I was stationed in Panama with the 8th Special Forces Group, and from there I went to OCS and became a field artillery officer, and I served about just that 20 years and retired. And during that time frame, I was in Korea, Thailand, Panama, and Germany, in various places in the States like New Mexico, California, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, Georgia, and what have you. After service, I worked as an instructional designer in the manufacturing industry, creating training and writing maintenance manuals for manufacturing. And I did that up until, I retired in 2010. Last couple of years, I worked with Sherwin-Williams doing paint as a odd job just to keep myself busy. I think it's funny, Margaret found the job. It was like 20 hours a week. I think she did it to get me out of the house for at least 20 hours a week. So, and what I've done over the years, I've been in the Knights of Columbus as primary focus on my charity, and I've worked many years with them, raising funds for such things as, one of my favorite things is the intellectually disabled for adults, which is 18 and over, because a lot of people don't realize that once you become 18, a lot of the federal, almost all the federal and state funding for anybody that has a disability of such, it falls off the table. So it's left to churches and different organizations, and I will say that a lot of good companies, defense companies, private companies, markets are very generous in supporting the ARC, which was here in Huntsville, ARC of Madison County, that does everything from education of caregivers to they have employment opportunities they find for these individuals that gives them a sense of purpose. And I'll tell you, the young people and the older folks that have mental, or I should say intellectually disabled issues, they're great employees. In fact, one of the things we found, it's kind of funny in a way, the only issue you have with them is you have to get them to go home, because if you didn't, they'd work till they dropped. And it gives them a sense of pride, and they pay taxes, they participate in community activities, and it's just a great thing to see. And then one of my other things is I work with the Knights in supporting the Rose of Sharon, which takes care of some of the most vulnerable homeless in our town. And that was the Catholic Center of Concern, which they provide the medicine and the Rose of Sharon feeds them. So, and they work with each other. And what's great about it is Rose Sharon's a Protestant organization, and of course the center is Catholic. And they mutually support each other by making sure people are healthy and are fed and have clothing, because the Rose of Sharon does provide clothing. I'm also involved in the Youth Leadership Development Program, which was started by Dr. Welsh out of Birmingham. We now have 95 high schools and 27 universities, and it's a leadership program that starts in the 9th grade, and it goes through the 12th, and the seniors can apply for scholarships, and they're fully funded scholarships that we offer. I have one at the University of Alabama. Gary Biker, another Mellon Award Honor recipient, has one at Auburn. Benny Atkins, this program supports his Benny Atkins Foundation for providing educational funding for special operations troops coming off of active duty to supplement what they get from their benefits from the government and military service while they're going to school. And I'm a board member of that, and we raise money. And one of the things that I'm so proud of this is that anybody who applies for this scholarship, it doesn't matter who your parents are, how much they make or don't make. We don't consider their ACTs or the SATs. It's based on character. And for example, last year, one young lady who, I don't know how she did it, maintained a 4.0 average. She, one parent is in prison and one has a drug problem. And she has done really well. And we have a 99, almost 100% graduation rate with this program through the various universities that these kids go to. And it makes me feel good that I'm able to participate in this, because I'm looking for the future, because as you well know, sir, I'm kind of long in the tooth, and I love this country, and we have to depend on the ones that come after us to hold the values that we hold and to do the good things that we've done. And so this is my way of paying it forward, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm the luckiest human being that has ever been born on planet Earth. I am, my wife and I live nicely. We live in a nice house, a nice environment. I mean, I'm not Bill Gates or anything, and so I feel like I'm obligated, because the good Lord has been so good to me, that I should take some of that effort and treasure and do something with it to pay it forward, so some young person or some older person or someone with an intellectual disability can have a little better life now, and maybe they can get together in the future when I'm gone and pay it forward also. And that's basically, and I must say that I do this in conjunction with my dear wife, Margaret. So that's about my life in a nutshell, sir.
That's a wonderful rundown, Mike, but let me ask you a couple of questions. One is, having received the Medal of Honor within the last few years, how has that changed your life across the board?
Well, I get invitations to go to places that from all over the country. I was going to quite a few to support different activities, military and organizations and non-military that are connected with the service, and then other fundraising type organizations and schools. One of the things that I'm really get excited for is I get a lot of invitations to go to speak to elementary and high schools, and that is something that I do in conjunction with the Medal of Honor Society, in which we have a program, and we provide a training that develops. It's a character development program. It stems around character development and patriotism. And that has given me the opportunity to talk to young people about how great this country is. Sir, you would not believe the people that nobody knows who they are or what they do, but without them, things just, the whole railroad system here would go off the rails. They're just wonderful, wonderful, great human beings. And that's the thing that I like the best about with this medal now, that I've had the opportunity to find these people and to meet these people, and it's really a joy.
Our next step is to present the Distinguished American Awards to the three people that are here. They're different because he's already received his a couple of years ago, but we have two other awards. They're somewhere. All right, we'll bring them up, please, and present them to Ed and to Pat. I wonder if we might show the audience what they look like. Would you pull them out, Ed, and take a look so you'll see what they're about? Okay, so it's a small award, but what's there is the coin. This is a pure silver coin that was minted by the whoever does that. They're no longer available. They meddled them down, and it's a Medal of Honor coin that was produced about 10 years ago. And it's up there on a stand, and then we have a little plaque that talks about her being a distinguished American, and Ed being a distinguished American also. So that's the award. Okay, now we have one other event that I think we have coming up, and that's a presentation by Russell Joel Brown and Keith Schaefer, and he's going to sing the first verse or so of God Bless America, and then we're going to ask everybody to join in. But don't join in on the first verse, or he won't be able to do his solo. Thank you.
God bless America.
Well done. Before I let you get out of here, I forgot to introduce our Marines in the back. These are members of the Marine Corps, Jimmie Dyess Marine Corps League. Gary Smith, and I'm sorry about the other names I can't remember. Say it again. Okay. Glad to have you. And finally, I got to say, oh yes, we have to unveil the Dyess Award, and Nancy's going to do that. I think y'all have seen this before, but it's a crystal display. It shows the emblem of the Medal of Honor, the Carnegie Medal, and the Boy Scout Award in there. And at the bottom, everybody who has been awarded that award gets a little plaque there. And the plaques are growing because we've been there for 13 years. And the final thing I want to say is I want to congratulate our 3 honorees for showing incredible flexibility in doing none of the things I asked them to do. And they did really, really well. And I think you all ought to come up and congratulate them for showing. In life, things often go wrong, and they went wrong tonight, but there was a great recovery, and I thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.